What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Brew with Matt and Mike. We're going to break down the Rutgers game a little bit, talk about the current state of college basketball, and bring back the Pro versus Joe segment. Mike, good morning. How are we doing today?
Oh man, we're excellent. We're a little worse for weary. I may or may not have been running around the streets of Viejo San Juan yesterday for one of the cooler cultural events down here in Puerto Rico. There's a music festival specifically for salsa and more Latin-based music called La Sansa, and it's a 4-day free festival. One of my favorite music festivals I've ever been to. When it's really great when the participants bring in their own instruments and just randomly meet up with other musicians and have a party on any corner they want to. So feeling a little interesting this morning, but definitely here and excited to get brewing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, let's get right into the Rutgers Wisconsin matchup. Do you want to start us off?
So Rutgers is coming in here right around 9-8. Their last game was against Northwestern. Had a barn burner down at Northwestern, and interesting team. Their head coach is Peichel. He has a very normal or very consistent identity. All of his teams played really hard. All of them play extremely. They play a little bit of a slower paced game. So and built more on their defense if they can be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Badgers here if they can continue to build on the hot shooting of bench guys and or the others, as we like to call them now, is the other crew. Is you have the two-headed monster of the lead guards of Boyd and Blackwell, and can the other guys keep stepping up and keep showing out and playing really well, and building on this success that they've had the last 3 games. It should be great.
Yeah, so Rutgers under Peichel have had an identity of physicality and being really solid defensively. And I've been looking at Rutgers statistically, different metrics, trying to find something where it's like, okay, that's where they hang their cap on this year. They are really good at that. I'm not really seeing it. I imagine physicality wise, they'll be solid, but rebounding, they're losing the rebounding margin this season by 0.5 rebounds per game. So for Wisconsin in this matchup, focus on yourself. Do what you can control. Right? Be locked in on, hey, if you're Nick Boyd, continue touching the lane and then continue lifting up your teammates like he has done so well in the last few games. Feed the posts, let Nolan Winter and Belauskas get a few post touches. And if you take care of what you need to take care of, you come out with energy and focus, and you're locked in for this game, you should be able to come away with it. But it's when Wisconsin maybe feels a little bit too much swagger after the little run they've been on, or they come out a little sleepy on this mid-January game against a bottom-tier team in the Big Ten. That's where things are going to go awry, because there's no such thing as a truly easy game in the Big Ten and in college basketball. Everyone's so talented. We've seen mid-majors stick around with Wisconsin in the past. We've seen D3 teams at the beginning of the year, these last 2 seasons, stick around for 75% of the game. So Wisconsin, come on out, touch the paint either with feeding it to the post or getting your feet into the lane on the drive, kick it out, let that ball snap around, bring the energy, bring the grit. And I feel good about Wisconsin's chances, but they have to come locked in. They can't take Rutgers lightly. This is a win. They got to get this. They got to continue to build on what they've done. Now is not a time to regress.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about focus for them right now, and their level of urgency for every possession. I think seeing this team grow over these last 2 weeks, or I mean 2 months, I should say, after these last 2 months, but even these last 2 weeks, you're starting to see that they really understand and are starting to understand how to play high level, consistent basketball and really focusing on possession by possession and staying locked in possession by possession. When we watched that Michigan game, the level of attention and the level of intensity that you need and is required on every possession to make sure that you deal with that talented roster over there at Michigan, it really showed up again in Minnesota, because Minnesota played really well. That game we watched the other day was a fantastic game. Minnesota had every chance to win that game. They played well enough to win. Um, And I think just seeing that now is and seeing these guys kind of lock in and really understand as a group what it takes and what's the effort and the level of focus it takes to win these games. They need, like you said, they need to keep doing that. This is one of those games where you really, really practice it, and hopefully they can, come out prepared because the Big Ten is no slouch. It's a high major conference. There's dudes that can put the biscuit in the basket. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, and looking at Rutgers and their offensive efficiency, they rank 256 in the country, which is one spot ahead of Marquette. So that shows you they are not the best offensive team. They are quite limited if you're only that much better than Marquette. And then defensive efficiency wise, they are 189th in the country. So a little bit better on the defensive end, as you would expect with the Steve Peichel team. But still, there is nothing that really stands out about Rutgers. They do have a 6'10 big guy who's been there for 4 years. He should be pretty solid down low, but Wisconsin, take care of your business, focus, lock in, and I'm feeling confident about this one. I almost feel like this would be better if this was played at Rutgers. I could just see this being a sleepy game in the Kohl Center where they don't bring the grit versus if they were on the road like against Rutgers. I don't know.
I think I'm still afraid of the Rutgers game. I never personally got to play in Rutgers. The Big Ten was still the Big Ten when I was down there, not the Big 18. Um, but I still very much remember that was one of the places that was it the 2015 team. They lost to Rutgers in
Yeah, they
Rutgers.
did, and Rutgers
Yeah,
was
Trey Jackson
bad that
turned his
year.
ankle. Yeah, it was that's a interesting building to get into, and I know those guys play pretty well there. But I agree. This could be a sleepy game. So those are the games that are always a little bit more challenging for you as a younger player. Thankfully, they got some guys who have been around and that are older. And the biggest thing is, hey, if Nick Boyd can continue to pull teeth and bring guys with him early, it will be fine for Wisconsin. But this will, like you said, these are games that can be a little bit monotonous. You're also in this
Yeah.
middle of the season. You played on CBS. You had a big game. Also, coming off of a big emotional game. The Minnesota, this has been a big emotional week for the Badgers. They had a big game at Michigan. That's heavy emotions, high emotions, sleep, all that stuff is coming at a premium right now. And then the same thing, they went to Minnesota, and I remember me as a young whippersnapper after some of these games they would definitely be a challenge to go to sleep after, and
Yeah.
challenging in many ways, right? There's just so much adrenaline. You're going back and flying back. Maybe you have some extracurricular activities that are going to show up at the door. You never know. Like those are things that can happen. So let's hope the boys come ready to play and take care of business.
Yeah, they can't have a hangover effect from these last few highs in the games. They can't be feeling like
Right.
you this morning. They gotta be feeling like me, ready to go and ready to attack this day. So Wisconsin has to come in dialed. But I think we covered the preview well enough. Let's move on to our next topic. Mike, you want to take it?
Yeah, so we're going to bring back a little bit pros versus Joe's segment, give you guys a little bit more inside information about what it would be like if someone such as yourself, who is not 6'7" and extremely handsome, got to go and play professional basketball overseas. So somebody who hasn't got that opportunity so much, and some of the challenges or some of the things that may or may not know about what that life is really like. So if this pros versus Joe segment, I'm going to ask Matt, if you're just a regular guy, regular old Matt, all of a sudden you touched a basketball and you got all the talent you needed. You don't need to grow. You're 6'4". You just you took some Johnny Davis talent and moved that in there into your fingertips. If you had to play one full season overseas, what do you think would be the thing that really challenged you the most? Would it be the physicality, the practices? Do you think it'd be just traveling around and some interesting ways to travel, hotels? What do you think it would be? And I would say we can ask you if we can give you two situations here. You're playing in Estonia for your first one, for your first season overseas. You're living in Tallinn, Estonia.
Okay, Estonia. I don't even know where that is, but
It's in the
I
Baltics.
yeah. So I would say there's two things that would get me. One is I'm a homebody. I love the state of Wisconsin. I hate being this far away from friends and family. So being that far away from home, probably being homesick would be the number one thing that would get me. But number two is there's a lot of levels overseas, and what are the accommodations like? Are we sleeping in rough
You have
motels? Are we
you have your
sleeping in
own. So when you're at home, you have your own apartment with a decent. You have a decent apartment. It's nothing fancy, but you have a decent apartment. And in Estonia, oh yeah, you're sleeping in some smaller hotel rooms.
Yeah, so the if I'm sleeping in the not so nice hotel rooms at the bus, if I'm taking long bus rides that are just kind of cramped and like that could be a little bit rough. So I would say like, I remember Ben Brust. I always thought he should have redshirted his freshman year because he wasn't playing. Brett Valentine was just night and day better than him, so he wasn't able to take any spot minutes on that team. So Brust was playing. I forgot where he was playing, but it didn't look like it was the sexiest place when he was playing his first year
He played in
overseas.
Lithuania. I actually played for the same team that he started his first year as a pro as.
Yeah, and I just remember I was like, man, if Bruss would have redshirted that year, he could be the big man on campus on this like historically great team, playing on nationally televised games, charter planes, all this stuff. But instead, he was not. It was far from that overseas. So I would just say, yeah, the accommodations being so far away from home, that would be the two things that would break me down. And then, yeah, probably the monotony of practice. Like, what does the architecture and the design of the practice gym look like? Is it warm? Is it colorful? Or is it gray? Is it beaten down? Is it dull? Is my coach, or what's the energy of my coach? Is my coach an energetic guy, or is he dull and is it tedious to practice every single day? So I would say those are all factors that matter to me. Like you see the colors around me, it's like cream. It's a warm color. I like warm, rustic, and I like vibrant colors. I like vibrant colors a lot. So if my practice facility isn't that nice and it's worn down, and my coach is worn down and he's not that energetic, and then you combine that with being far away from home with not the best accommodations, those are the things that would get me.
Yeah, you might not do so well. You might want to go home early. I don't know if you'll make it to Christmas.
Probably not.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely some things that get guys, rookies and guys that are newer to overseas life. For me, it was always the two things that always got guys, and it got me especially. I always had a harder time with it was Thanksgiving and Christmas. Holiday time was always the most challenging. Uh, you spend a lot of holidays by yourself,
That's
and
brutal.
spending Christmas by yourself is an interesting concept, especially when you try and find some remblance of or some assembly of normal when you're over there. I would always try and spend it with my other American teammates. I would always cook. I would always try and make things that made me feel better that way. That was one of my little tricks of just being like, hey, let me chef something up that gives me a warm feeling of home. But I would say, yeah, before for most people and for most guys, the holidays and the time away from home are the two biggest challenges for a lot of guys, especially first and second year guys.
You know what also be a challenge? Is this a place where the sun's coming out, or is
No.
it a place where it's gray all the time? And that would be a big challenge for me because I noticed in my adult life, I don't think it really mattered to me all that much as a kid. But in my adult life, I really appreciate seeing the sun. And then in Wisconsin, when you go a month of just gray, cloudy days that end by 4:30, when it's dark out by 4:35, that gets brutal. So and the sun's been out these last few days. I really appreciate that. Even if it's cold, those blue skies make a difference. So that'd be one other thing that would matter to me overseas.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I very specifically remember my second job in Slovenia. I was duped. I was duped. First day I show up there, it's beautiful, it's sunny, it's clear, there's mountains everywhere, it's green. I'm like, all right, I can probably do this. I didn't see the sun for the next 2 months. I saw the sun the second to last day I was in the country of Slovenia. It's a beautiful place, but I understand your need for that, which is actually why I made a small transition to Latin America. I was like, you know what, I'm done in these northern European places that are cold and gray. Let me go hang out with some sun and some salsa.
Yeah, so Mike, a question I have for you is obviously the money is better overseas, but just thinking this through, you and what Badger fans might not realize about Mike is one, Mike heading into his senior year was shooting the piss out of the ball. But thing is, Mike
Yeah.
had a few brutal injuries that really hindered his senior year, took away some athleticism, wasn't shooting the ball, didn't have the same stamina in him that he would have. Mike was due for a really big time senior year, but Mike can shoot the piss out of the ball, and he's had a great career being a sniper. On top of all the things you guys remember about him, being a hustler, being a glue guy, rebounding, toughness, grit, defense, he can shoot the hell out of the ball. Mike, I imagine you could have played in the G League. Why did he not never play in the G League? And I know part of the answer is because one, the money, especially you go 10 years ago, isn't nearly as good as
Yeah.
it is now. But did you ever think, say, around 2019, 2020, 21, 22, whenever it was, where you were not on the back nine necessarily, you're in your prime. Did you ever think, hey, I want to go to the G League and see what I can do? I can be a little bit closer to home, or did that just never cross your mind because you're like, hey, I need that bread?
Yeah. So, no, to answer your question, no, I never really considered the G League. I almost went once. So the biggest thing or the biggest difference between the G League when like right now and when I came out, it was actually still the D League. And they had, the contracts were A, B, and C contracts. The highest level of contract was like 18 or 19,000 per year. And the amount of time you get to work is 6 months, right? So it's still a relatively long season. And the D League was not quite as prominent as sending guys up and down. So the 1 year I almost did was my second year out. I actually went to an open tryout for the Spurs, so they would have preferential, so they could sign me without having to draft me. And I was on the cusp, basically, of either doing the G League or the D League my second year out, or going overseas. And for me, there was a secondary aspect to the basketball life I've had is, and this is something my dad always brought up for me was no matter what happens, basketball will maybe pay the bills, it might not, but it also has an opportunity to let you go see things and do things that other people may or may not get to do. And I thought, well, should I stay in the G League, go hang out in Austin, Texas? Not really be sure if I'm going to stay on that team. Plus, the style of basketball in the NBA G League is much different than
Yeah.
Europe. It's much more open gym style. It's very one-on-one based, as well as it's very political. So it's used as a development league and basically as a training league for guys that have really good opportunities to get into the NBA, as well as guys who are on rosters in the NBA and just need time to play. So one game I could start and get a bunch of shots and play super well. And then the next game, there is a guy who's up on the big club on, let's say he's on the San Antonio Spurs, but he's on the end of the bench and he hasn't played in a while. And they want to make sure he's ready to go in case something happens with an injury. All of a sudden, I maybe had 30 points Monday. Thursday, we have our next game. I'm chilling on the bench, not doing anything. And so for me, I kind of knew that was how the G League would work. And I didn't really like that as a job. I was like, I want to have more consistency. I want to be more prominent in the offense. I want to be, a big reason we win or lose. And that was why I started going overseas more. And I never really considered the G League because of basically the political climate. It had very little to do with the actual, staying at home. And me going overseas was really important in terms of just, hey, I have this opportunity to go live in another country, to learn a different perspective, and that was super important to me. My father was the one who instilled that into me. He's like, "Yo, go do this. This is something cool. You'll look back and say, hey, I lived in Slovenia. It may have sucked for a little bit, but at the same time, I still got that
You did
passport
it.
stamp. I got a few different stories about being yelled at by an old man at 2 in the morning because I was talking to my family too much, and so I have those things that, you know, maybe I could have made a little bit more money. There would have been an opportunity to play in the NBA, but I was telling one of my closest friends, my greatest like accomplishment, and one of the things I am most proud of in my life is my passports. My passports are super cool, and I am so glad that I still have them, and I would not trade those things for anything.
Yeah, for 35, you're super cultured and super experienced. You've seen a lot of things, which is really cool. Even just going through college basketball, you see a lot of things. You go to a lot of different
Yeah.
places, meet a lot of different people, but then combine what you've done overseas. You've been everywhere. Go ahead and I can throw this in the description. I'll just put a link to Mike's statistics over the years, and you can see all the different countries he's played for. It's a lot, so I respect that. I respect that, and
14. Yeah, 14.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, and that's very
Yeah.
cool. And I was roasting Mike, not necessarily roasting. But I gave a hard time about his age in the last episode, but it's also a compliment at the same time because not many players can play until they're 35. There's just it's a lot of wear and tear, and also just keeping the love of the game that long, right? Like people get burnt out. They've been playing a lot of games since they were yay high. By the time they're 30, they're like, maybe I'm ready to chill at a desk from 9 to 5. But no, my Mike's been able to keep it rolling. He's been able to stay healthy enough to be good enough to play professionally. That's another big thing is it's hard to stay healthy. And I
Luck.
know you had a big ankle injury, but you're still able to play professionally. So hats
Still
off to Mike.
kicking. Well,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, I think the big thing with like longevity and guys playing at a length is definitely you have to love it. You have to take care of yourself. You got to have some luck. And then, yeah, the biggest thing is as guys start to get older, and I'm starting to go through this right now, I'm just tired of working out. Staying in shape is probably the most difficult piece. It's not the games. The games are so easy. It's going to practices, and it's not even necessarily practices. I like getting paid to work out. It's awesome. But it's the stuff you have to do to stay at that level that nobody else really sees, and then constantly having to stay in shape. My God, that's been the biggest challenge for me and my biggest hurdle of probably the last year. I'm starting to despise that.
Mike, what's your workout looking like right now? Because you just played 3-on-3 FIBA, and what are you doing now after that? Because you're probably not going to be playing till say April, right?
No, we start our preseason in about a month now.
Okay.
So uh, the biggest thing with preseason, as I'm an elder statesman, as we would like to say now,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is just making sure my body has enough. Keeping the tread on the tires as long as I can, and the biggest thing for me is just the weight room. I haven't done a whole lot of court work. I'll maybe shoot once or twice a week right now. I've been kind of chilling on that, but I'll start to pick that up once we get a little bit closer to this season. Like next week is really when I'm gonna start getting back into the gym, a little bit more consistently shooting, and getting my skills back. But overall, it's weight room, running on a beach, just kind of eating well, making sure I do my yoga, Pilates, making sure my body can handle what it's about to go through. And that's the biggest thing as you get older. It's Andre Miller talked about this on a podcast, and he said, yeah, he wasn't killing himself individual workouts, especially in the summer. It was running on the beach, working out weights, and then playing your way into shape once the season starts. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I'm planning on coming into camp in good enough shape to start camp, but I'm not going to be in playing shape. That's for sure.
Okay. Are you going to try making up to Wisconsin? Are you going to be able to when the season starts?
We're trying to figure that out right now. I will not make, but when the season starts, probably not. So I'm trying to make some last minute plans here. I got a couple of weeks here before I gotta, really lock in. So trying to get up to Wisconsin to see a game, as well as I got to go. I got to go see one of my best friend's kids. He had a little girl, so I got to go and be do that.
Yeah, Uncle Mike.
Yeah, got to be Uncle Mike. So
Okay, so the last thing I'll close out with, just we're talking about the G League, and it made me think about you and me have had discussions. Tonje versus Johnny, who's the better Badger? They're about the same age right now. Tonje's within a year of being, yeah, about a year older than Johnny. And just looking at their stats this year in the G League, Tonje is putting up 18.7 points per game on 48% from the field, 38% from three on 6.3 attempts from
nice.
three, 91% from the free throw line. And yeah, his rebounds look solid 4.4, 1.4 assists, 1.8 turnovers, some more turnovers than assists, but he's getting a steal, zero point 0.4 blocks. And then moving to Johnny on the season, only 10 games that I'm seeing right now. 48% from the field as well, 14 points per game, 37.5 from three, which is really good for Johnny, 58% from free throw line, 4.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1 steal, zero point 0.6 blocks. So, hey, respect to them. Both are having nice G League seasons. And yeah, Johnny's on the herd, and Tonje's on Salt Lake City with Klesman and Crowell, which is cool. And I think Klesman and Crowell are starting to get a little bit of burn, so good for them. But
Yeah,
yeah, Tonje's my guy, man. Tonje over Johnny all day, all day.
I think
Love both.
he'll
Great
yeah,
players.
he'll probably get a chance. He's got the size. He's a big
Yeah,
enough wing. It's just, can he defend at a high enough level to get there? That's the biggest thing for him.
yeah. But you just throw him in the corner, have him sort of snipe some threes, and then if they close out on him, attack off the closeout. Yeah,
Yep,
he
he's
can find a role.
he can. It's literally, it has nothing to do with his offense. It's all,
Yeah, it's all
what
defense.
is it? What is his ability to defend at? Because that's where he is going to go and make his money. Because he shoots the ball at a high clip. Offensively, he has it right, but it's just, can you play defense and can you fill your role?
Johnny's the other opposite way. Johnny's like, hey, can you shoot? Can you dribble?
Yeah. Offensively, like, what can you, because he's got to be more of a creator at that point at his position.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's a solid episode of the Brew. Moved off of Wisconsin, and this was the goal from the beginning: is just chop it up, talk about things. Mike's experienced a lot of cool things, pick his brain a little bit, and now we all know a little bit more than we did at the beginning of this episode about just overseas life and yeah, what Mike's been through in his journey. It's a cool story. So thank you guys. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. We will be back with more. We'll break down the Rutgers Wisconsin game after it takes place. But yeah, subscribe for more Brew with Matt and Mike, and we'll see you soon.